Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Caroline Rothstein. I'm a spoken word poet, a journalist, an arts educator, and a body empowerment advocate. Today, I'm going to tell you about how I came to have gratitude for and trust in my body. And I'm going to start that by walking back up stage and letting a video that I made with BuzzFeed play. It's called Fat is Not a Feeling. I will see you in 3 minutes and 38 seconds. I remember thinking I was fat when I was 4 years old. I remember standing at the bar in ballet class, looking in the mirror and comparing my body to everyone else's. I remember using food to cope with my emotional anxieties at an early age. On the outside, I had a tremendous amount of privilege growing up, which made it complicated to live amidst the pain in my mind and the trauma within my body. I started starving myself at age 11. I struggled with an eating disorder, mostly bulimia, for a full decade. I was molested for 1.5 years in high school and raped my first month of college the week before my younger brother was hit by a car and killed. 2 years later, I was sitting on my bedroom floor with my best friend, and I laid out my entire life trauma by trauma and had a major realization. I was killing myself. I'd actively been putting my body in jeopardy for 10 years. Other people had violated my body, and my brother no longer had a body at all. Everyone only gets one body in their lifetime. I knew I had to start treating mine differently. I made a choice to love my body for the rest of my life, every single day. Recovery was like peeling layers of an onion. First, I promised myself that purging was never going to be an option. I learned to sit with what it felt like not to purge. Then not to binge, then not to eat emotionally, then not to fear food, then not to fear my body. And I learned that how I eat and move has to come directly from within me. It took a lot of practice. And I learned the art of intuitive eating, where I eat what I want when I want, eat when I'm hungry, and stop when I'm full. That has single-handedly been the tangible practice that's allowed me to maintain full recovery for the past 10 years. I witness all the ways the world tells bodies not to love themselves. From the billion-dollar diet industry to war, racism, sexism, homophobia, ableism, and all oppressions. And I know that the choice to love my body is both revolutionary for my ability to live in my own body and also the key to allowing me to love and respect other people's bodies. Because I made a choice to recover fully, I decided every day doesn't have to be a struggle. I've learned to sit with my feelings, to feel everything and wait, and it's utterly intoxicating. And even though I love my entire body, there are moments that are difficult, and sometimes I feel fat. And when I think I feel fat, I remember that fat is not a feeling. There's no such thing as feeling fat. So when I feel fat, I know that means I'm feeling something else, and it's worth figuring out what that is. In these moments especially, I take deep, slow breaths. And I remember that my body's ability to do this incessantly, unconsciously, and involuntarily is a miracle. I choose to be grateful in these moments, grateful for everything my body can do and everything my body has overcome. I choose to love my body. Thank you. So I can sit here, well, actually I'm standing. I can stand here and tell you the mantra that I've shared again and again. I choose to love my body. Fat is not a feeling. There's no such thing as feeling fat. And mantras are vital, they're critical. People have been sharing mantras all day, some new ones that I'm taking with me to put in my toolbox of coping mechanisms. But what I really want to share with the time I have left is showing in action what that actually looks like in my daily life when I have a conversation in my head, in my heart, with my body, that fat is not a feeling. So this past January, I was writing a feature magazine article for an alumni magazine for a college in Massachusetts about the sexual assault prevention and response work being done on their campus. And as a survivor of sexual assault, the entire process was traumatic for me, pretty challenging. No, there's nothing that my degree from Columbia University J School could have taught me about being a rape survivor reporting on rape, right? You can't really get prepared for that. And so I decided to write the article from the safety of my own apartment where I could manage my feelings. If I was feeling overwhelmed, I could take care of myself. I also knew that 2 weeks from that time in early January, I was going to go to LA and film this video. And at the time, my friend at BuzzFeed and I had no idea what the video was going to be about. She just wanted to tell my story in video. So here I am. It's a Friday. My second draft is due to my editor at, well, I've decided midnight. That's my deadline for that day, right? And I finished lunch. I got Seamless, love Seamless. And I'm feeling fat. It's winter, I haven't moved a lot, I'm supposed to be some body empowerment guru and I'm not feeling great about myself. So what do? I start trying on everything in my closet to promise myself that it all still fits. Midway through, I start to feel this thing inside of myself, and for those of you that practice yoga, you know that you can be in like warrior one and it's gonna allow you to feel something else on the inside, right? So midway through trying on the dresses and skirts and pants in my closet, I start to feel something inside. And I know myself well enough to say, okay, am I about to have a total meltdown and this is not healthy for me? Or am I about to have a breakthrough and I'm starting to feel something inside that this action is allowing me to feel? And I knew it was the latter. So I kept going. I end up in my favorite Betsy Johnson dress from 8th grade, which was a long time ago, but it still fits somehow. And I look at myself in the mirror, and by now I'm sobbing, and I look at my thighs, and I start holding my cellulite. There's cellulite under here. And I'm holding it in my hands, and I was like, thighs. I'm not kidding. I said, thighs, what are you feeling? And they said, we're feeling neglected and exploited. Neglected? Well, yeah, you've been sitting at this desk writing for weeks, and you haven't been moving intuitively. Someone talked about moving intuitively earlier today. Why do you feel exploited, thighs? Well, you let go of a lot of weight naturally in the last few years, and everyone's been coming up to you saying, you look so good, good for you, which is to say, oh, I wasn't good enough before. Oh, I've done something good because naturally my body has normalized to what it wants to be and what it is. And then I took off the dress, I sat down on my bed in my underwear, and my stomach rolls, those exist too, started rolling in on themselves. And I held, like, my stomach rolls of fat in my hands. And I said, what are you feeling? And they said, we need you need to be grateful for this, right? Like, every day, it's a miracle that my stomach can digest food. I was bulimic and anorexic, and I was an overexerciser, and I had binge eating disorder. I had a cocktail of eating disorders for 10 years. It's a miracle that my stomach digests food every day, and that's enough for me to be grateful. And so I sat there with this epic gratitude for my body that day. I wrote all the things I was feeling out, because as a writer, that's one of my huge coping tools. I called my mother, and first I said, before I asked for her advice, I said, hey, I need you to listen to me. We've been down this road before. I love you dearly, and your support is vital for me, and so will you just listen and hear where I'm at? And she graciously listened to where I was at as I cried to her on the phone, and she talked me through what I was going through and made it so that I felt okay to go on and finish the draft. I filed the draft, and 2 weeks later I made the video that you saw. And when I first recovered from an eating disorder, I thought that it was magically permanent, right? I would never feel again. I would just feel euphorically perfect forever. And then once those initial intoxicating natural highs of recovering started to subside and life started to happen again, I had to feel things again. And so we're talking a lot today about recovery. And there are so many people here that are testament to how recovery is real. And so with that, I just want that we can all remind each other and ourselves that feelings, they're not going away, but what we can do is sit with them and wait. So thank you so much.
Thank you.